Now, let's get into talking about Islam and Christianity in Nigeria. So here's what's going on. This is Nigeria is the most populous Christian, the nation with the most um, Christians anywhere in Africa. And there is this, right now, there's an absolute crisis going on there when it comes to Christians. Now, Nigeria is actually the most populous nation in Africa in total, and it's 51% Christian. It's 51% Christian. The church is also growing in Africa, in Nigeria, I should say. Now, it is being attacked by two different groups. There are the Fulani attacks, Fulani tribesmen attacks that are happening in the middle belt of Nigeria. And then there is Boko Haram happening in the northeast. Boko Haram is an organization whose name means Western education is cursed, basically. And the Fulani attacks, these are herdsmen. They're often portrayed as herdsmen or tribesmen, but both groups, Boko Haram and the Fulani tribesmen or herdsmen, are Muslims. They are both groups of Muslims. And as a result of these Muslim murderers who are coming down, these Islamic groups who are slaughtering and persecuting Christians, countless believers face daily danger. And they face this for the name of Jesus Christ. So just to be clear, they are experiencing this persecution because of their faith in Jesus Christ. And this is something that is being denied. This is something that is being overlooked, overshadowed. But the fact of the matter is, when you examine the facts, that is what's happening. This is religious persecution. All right, it's religious persecution. I've become convinced of that as I have looked into the story. So I want to present you with some facts, and then I want to encourage you to pray, and I want to encourage you to think about ways that you can speak up. Again, I'm not here to guilt trip you. I'm not here to pressure you to do anything, but I want you to be able to take a look at this. All right, so now what's going on here? Let's get an overview of the country, and let's talk about, we're going to get a report this is from Voice of the Martyrs, persecution.com. And this is what Voice of the Martyrs says. So first of all, Nigeria is roughly split. There's the Muslim majority north. That is where the Boko Haram group has been active. And there's the Christian majority south. There's this contested middle belt. That's where the Fulani herdsmen, the Muslim Fulani herdsmen, are coming in. All right. Now, this is a report. This is an overview from Voice of the Martyrs. Here's what it says. Nigeria is almost evenly divided between Muslims who dominate in the north and Christians who dominate in the south. There are more than 80 million professing Christians in Africa's most populous nation. Oops, let's pull this back. The fruit of both pioneer mission work and freed slaves who returned to the continent from Europe with the gospel following the 1833 abolition of slavery in England. Foreign missionary activity in the north has declined significantly since 2008 as a result of the emergence of the Islamic military group Boko Haram. Based in the north, Boko Haram is affiliated with Al-Qaeda and has also aligned itself with the self-proclaimed Islamic State, ISIS. Although Boko Haram has weakened somewhat in the northeast, it still carries out devastating attacks in the Christian communities and on army units in the region. Boko Haram is also reportedly backing ongoing attacks on Christian villages by militant Fulani Muslims who have concentrated their attacks in the central region of Nigeria. This is Islamic conquest in action. This is what is happening. They're attacking where they are strongest, and they are pushing the frontiers of their influence. This is the exact thing that you see throughout history. And I've been reading this book by Raymond Ibrahim called Defenders of the West. I'm about halfway done. As I speak, I am on page 140 right now in this book. And the very interesting thing, this details the Crusades and the Reconquista in Spain. Okay, so it's stretching from about the 700s. Right now, I'm reading a story from about the 1100s. And the interesting thing, and the Muslims noted this during the Muslim advances into Spain and the Muslim battles against the Crusaders in the Holy Land. Here's what they noticed. Whereas the Muslims, the Islamic forces, they would expand geographically. They would conquer an area and then they would push the frontiers of that area. The Crusaders and primarily the Crusaders, they were driven by a desire to liberate their brothers and sisters and to liberate what they perceived to be the Holy Land. So they would actually cut across they would penetrate into Muslim conquered lands in order to liberate Israel or Accra or Jaffa or some of these other cities that were far from their homelands. So the Christians were not advancing geographically, but the Muslim, that's how they would spread. They would spread like locusts, going into an area and then going to the next area and to the next area, because that's how they would solidify their strength, and that's how they would solidify their power and their own influence. They'd conquer a people, subjugate them, and then move on to the next frontier. And that seems to be, if you ask me for my opinion, that seems to be what is being attempted in Nigeria. You've got the Muslims who are sweeping down like locusts from the north into the contested Middle Belt. And if they have their way, remember, they're aligned here. You've got ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and the Fulani tribesmen, or the Fulani herdsmen. They are advancing. And it seems to me that the goal is to advance further south. All right. Eventually, of course, what they'd like to see, I'm sure, is a completely Muslim Nigeria, which would be dominated by Sharia law or Islamic law. Okay, so the militant actors are Boko Haram and the militant Fulani Muslims who are executing these waves of attack. Now, let's talk about American concern here. I want to make this very clear. This concern that America now has regarding the persecution in Nigeria. Donald Trump has been talking about it a lot. But this is not something new. There are some people who are trying to portray Donald Trump's recent, what would you say, concern, adamancy, interest in Nigeria as some sort of new thing. But it's not a new thing. As a matter of fact, this has been a concern for over a decade. For more than a decade, U.S. religious freedom monitors have flagged Nigeria at the highest level of concern due to systemic, ongoing, egregious violations. So this is not a new thing. This is something that is that has been reported on. This is something that has been of concern for a long time.